I always remember when Steve McQueen, I remember the time when we had just moved into the home in Harbor City, California, and I remember, this is years after Uncle Bruce died, but I guess Stephen had, come out that he had cancer, and he wrote you. And I do remember the day that you received Stephen's letter and you opened it up.
Oh.
And you were reading Stephen's letter about, to please continue to pursue.
Oh, yeah. That's a pretty good memory.
Oh, I remember vividly.
I think you were just a child, it seemed like.
Oh, I was like, I think I must have been 9 or 10, because we had just moved into the new place. I think what was really cool, because I remember you sitting there and reading the letter out loud that Stephen wrote about, saying, Dan, something, I'm paraphrasing this, but that Jikindo basically needs you, and this is what I would say Uncle Bruce, but Bruce would have wanted. And I remember that moment for you.
You got a good memory, yeah. Basically, that's what the letter said, that I should continue to teach, because Bruce Lee would have done his own thing, and you should do your own thing. So it was a letter of encouragement to continue teaching, because at that time, when Bruce Lee died, I didn't feel like teaching. I felt very despondent, and I think I've never felt that bad. I think even at the funeral of Bruce Lee, I think I drove from Seattle, Washington, all the way to Los Angeles.
I remember, because you picked Lance and I up at Grandma and Grandpa's, so they had to babysit us.
I dropped you off at Lance and you with your grandmothers in Stockton.
Yeah.
But I think I cried all the way from Seattle, all the way to the border of California, and I didn't stop crying until actually Sacramento. So for me, that was a big thing, because I don't think there's ever been a day that I haven't thought about Bruce Lee. So it's very difficult to lose a close friend. And I think Larry Hartsell, before he even passed away, we often talked about it. It's just, has there ever been a day that you haven't thought about Bruce Lee? And I said, no. And he says, me too. So I think for both of us, it was a big loss for both of us.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that you remember that.
I remember when Mom didn't want me to be the first to come out and say, Dad, Uncle Bruce passed away. I remember that, and she wanted to be the one to sit down and tell you, and it became this thing where she wanted to prep me just to keep quiet and just let her do her thing as a wife. And I remember you guys going into the master bedroom and the door shutting, and I do remember all that. I remember you, coming out into the hallway. I remember you running over to the phone, which I remember hung on the kitchen wall. And
that's a good memory.
Yeah, and calling people. I don't know specifically who you were calling. I'm assuming you called Linda in Hong Kong, and you were just really trying to get verification that what you had just heard from Mom was really accurate and really real. And I remember that. Oh, I do. I remember. And it was my, I always tell people that was the first time I ever saw you cry. And it was very upsetting for me. And, I remember all that. I remember the trip, packing up in that VW van and having to be dropped off in Stockton. And I wanted to come to Seattle with you guys.
You got a good memory.
Oh, yeah.
A very good memory.
I remember it all. I remember I was mad because I wanted to come with you and Mom,